Hey guys, Robert with RC Archery, starting out with day 2 here. I got knock set and loop tied in, got my peep sight put in, got the height and everything done, tied in my kisser button. I just used thread and tied in. I've done a video on that before on this channel. Running everything with the arrow running through the middle of the burger button hole, and I'll show you that real quick so you can see it. That was just kind of my starting point, just to see where everything was going to feel, best, and just see how I like that. Hopefully this will show up pretty well on camera and let it kind of zoom in there. We're running it pretty much through the middle. You can see a little bit below the arrow, a little bit above it, and that's pretty standard on where I run all my loop heights and arrow heights to begin with. Just 90 degrees to the string, just see how everything's going. Update on the back bar. It's 10-inch back bar is probably what I'm going to stick with. I've got 11 ounces on the back. I had 12 before. I took 1 ounce off just to see what it was like. I think I'm going to take this and this mount and move it out a little bit more so I can get some more adjustment and play with it and just see how it's going. Bow's a shooter, man. I'm sighting in here in my garage at 10 yards on one of those scaled down Vegas targets just to see what everything is like. It took me 3 shots and nailed an X, so yeah, I can't beat that, man. This bow aims really well, it shoots really well. It's a good one. So I'm gonna keep going here, do a little bit more on my stabilizer setup, give you some feedback on that, and just keep going. All right guys, wrapping up for day 2 here. This one's probably gonna be a little bit shorter on the video length, but some really good information in this one that I'm really excited to talk about. Just to kind of give you an idea of what I ended up doing, I went with the 10-inch back rod like I thought I was going to have to do, 11 ounces on it. I did move it 1 slot out so that I could drop it down a little bit more, and that's kind of the angle that I'm running. That's level where I'm at right now, so you can kind of see the angle that it's at right there. A little bit down, straight rod here on the front. If I had my normal 10-degree down on the front, this would have to go down even further because of what I'm looking at in relation to leverage front and back. I've actually got it pretty neutrally set up. The bar is coming pretty straight back, just a little bit off to the side. The bow holds and sits extremely well. I don't have any feel of torque in my grip. I'm not having to do anything special with my grip to get it to tune or to shoot right. So for me, that's an incredibly good thing, especially considering that maybe the last few bows, last couple of years had some issues with tuning. So this one does not. This one works really well. Got everything done as far as initial paper tuning goes, and that's where I'm actually extremely excited to talk about. Anything that I did with the bow, any kind of movements, yokes, changing the direction of the cam lean, changing in the rest location, left, right, up, or down, had an effect on what it was doing tuning wise, and that's really good. I've had bows in the past, last couple, that one direction or the other, height or windage, you can move it and it wasn't doing anything. And I had to change the way that I did my grip pressures with it and get a little bit out of my comfort zone on what I was doing. And on this one, I don't have to do that. I can go back to a completely neutral grip, no influence on it left or right, just everything is what I would consider textbook perfect for the way that I want it to work and get everything tuning. Granted, this was with some really stiff arrows that really aren't going to be for what this bow is going to have long term, but it's what I had on hand and what I was shooting with the podium. So when you look at the podium and the spirals, it's coming out at 323, I believe, is what the the AMO was for it, and mine's less than that obviously with the draw length, but the cam on it was more aggressive is what I'm getting to. So I need a little bit stiffer arrow on that compared to these that are coming out at 313 on these X3 cams. So a little bit weaker arrow setup is what I'm going to end up having to use, but I haven't gotten anything in to where I can start working on that yet. But what I did with this still is super impressive. For me, like I said, I always have a right tear, so it is not uncommon for me to have the cam lean the way that it sits on here for the arrow to run horizontal with the string. This one I had to go a little bit beyond that because of those extra stiff arrows, and I didn't want to move the rest out any further than it was. I started with it right down the middle of the bow, just like I always do, and I ended up pulling it left 1 full turn on this edge swap rest, so it's just barely out. And I'll get a measurement on that, and I'll put all that in the video here, so that way you can see it too. I'll link it somewhere, put it in here so you can see it. But all that works really well. Now, I suspect when I get arrows that actually are going to be made for this bow, then I'll probably end up going right back to, the parallel arrow running down the string. I'll probably move that rest back into where it's in the middle as well. That's pretty standard for me on the bows that are going to tune and work right for me. So yeah, man, overall, it works. It works really well as far as tuning goes. I've got some holes here on paper. We'll see how well it'll come through. Just that I shot playing around with different things. Number one shot that I took was right here. I set the rest up at 90 degrees and it's level, so that's great. There's no odd high tear, there's no weirdness going on. Everything was there. I'm using an 8 blade like I always do, so perfect on that one. Horizontal tear was to the right as I expected. That's normal for me, and I knew with the way the cam lean was on the top that was probably going to happen. Decided just to shoot it and see what was going to go on. From there, this is one twist in the right yoke, one twist out of the left yoke, shot that one. And then on this one, that was when I had the cam completely vertical, so the arrow was running parallel. So at that point, normally what I'll do is I'll move the rest some, see what's going to happen, see how much it affects it and what's going on. So that was this one here. One half turn was this one. And then I actually ended up doing one more twist in the right yoke and one more twist out of the left yoke to be able to get my bullet holes. And I shoot a bare shaft and I shoot a fletch shaft. So when I do my paper tuning, I do that every time the same way, just because I want to be able to make sure that I'm not having any weird, contact issues or anything like that going on with a fletch shaft. Normally I'll powder test them, where I'll spray some spray foot powder on the bottom of the arrow, maybe on the sides if anything's weird with a really thick arrow shaft and taller profile vanes. But on this one, low profile vane, micro diameter arrow, I don't have any worries about that. But I also know, because the arrows are coming directly off the podium and how they were set up, the nock indexing should be fine on it. So I just went ahead and shot it through paper, and it is bullet hole just like the bare shaft. So all in all, I continue to be impressed with this bow. The aiming on it is great. I'm going to try to figure out a way to hook a camera up to it like I've done on some of my other bows in the past. This one's a little bit different on the cutout, so I'm not sure how that's going to work. But I'd like to be able to do that to show you some aim on target and compare that to a podium and compare that to the hyper edge that I had, where you can see kind of what the float pattern looks like and what the aiming looks like. But man, it does the work for you. It really does. I've got the stabilizer set up where it's holding it on target. I've got the arrow at 90 degrees running through, eclipsing the burger buttonhole like I showed you earlier. And that combination right there is just nails it, man. It's amazing. I like the hyper edge because it would aim better and it was more predictable with the longer riser, but I like the feedback better from a podium, and this is pretty much mating both of those together. It has a really long riser feel. It's very stable. It's very nice feeling in your hand. It resists, movements and torque and things like that, but it's jumping out away from your hand. It's got that good feedback and good pop like the podium does, and that's what I was looking for, especially with the cams on it. I do want to talk about that real quick. Yesterday when I shot it initially, talked about maybe having a little bit spongier back wall and maybe having to get a different draw stop peg. I'm still going to do that for a different reason, and have an aluminum draw stop peg for a totally different reason I'll go over at a later time. But I've got everything set right now to where it's got an extremely solid back wall for having these stock strings. And I think when I get my aftermarket strings put on here, it'll be even better. Again, this is a channel just like you would have seen on the older Spiral X cam, and like on these new SVX cams rather. This is a channel just like that. So I adjusted that and timed it differently, a little bit at a time, with the control cable to see which one's seated in there and which one would give me the firmest back wall. And I found that just playing around with it and moving. And that kind of goes back to what I was saying in my Instagram video. They don't have a very steep, angle here for the routing of the cable, and that's awesome because I can do this in a half twist and not worry about killing my servings like I have on some bows when the cable routes, you know, all the way around in a U-shape or something crazy like that. I don't have to worry about that with this one. So yeah, still pumped about it. Tomorrow I'm gonna get the bow out. Actually gonna go outside, tune it like I normally would, do a modified French tune. I'm gonna do a bear shaft tune with that, and then I'm gonna group tune it. And I'm gonna hope, if the weather cooperates, to get out 60, 70, 80 yards and really put some distance on it and let that see what it looks like and learn more and more about this bow. I learn about it every time I shoot it, but I mean, it's a shooter. I'm really impressed with it. Guys, thank you for watching the video today. I look forward to being able to see you soon with another one. Get out, do something archery.